And we're on. Welcome, everybody. This is episode 12 of Q News and the Fall of the Cabal. We are really close. Kash Patel telling us Bill Durham's got the goods. But we got Ukraine, Canada, everything else. Angel is here, Carl is here, and Mud Rabbit. Welcome,
Hello.
everyone. And let's get this thing started. Um, Angel, you want to talk about the post you put up on Facebook that was. It wasn't yours. But it was about the EBEs and everything else. You want to go over
Sure.
that, or go over that later?
Well, I can just do quickly. But some of the information was kind of over my head because it gets pretty detailed, but it came from Corey Good, and the pretense of the post was to emphasize how crucial that this AI is trying to make you know, get into our system and take over. I mean, they've been here for a while, but the manner in which they do, how it's done, their agenda, and then you co-connect that with Elon Musk and the issue that he had with these monkeys and trying to practice this implant in the head stuff. I mean, all this, the things that are going on now that what 2, 3, 4 years ago you couldn't even fathom. Just the craziness. I mean, you got a president right now that's saying, "Hey, let's okay, crack pipes." I mean, just where do you go? I mean, I can't even fathom what's going on right now. It's behind me. But yeah,
Um,
it was just put out in 2014. It was just kind of interesting how that which is going on now seems to be everything that was predicted in that information.
well, yeah, it does seem like all the little pieces ended up falling in place, and it seems to be one big movie just playing out. They gave us a script beforehand, but this script isn't 4 or 5 years old, and it isn't 60 or 70 years old. That's just the latest script that we're watching right now. Um, Kash Patel is talking about a plan that's been in the works for at least 5, 6 years. But the problem is that these entities, for example, you were talking about the EBEs being, or at least Corey Good was talking about the EBEs being able to reprogram the mind, and it was an AI system. Why? Because the artificial intelligence becomes more intelligent than humanity, which means that they can actually, alter things and change things around. And they've been able to do this for a while, and they've been advancing our technological capabilities to be able to do that, to mess with the airwaves and be able to control the resonance field, like Carl always ends up talking about. Everything is a vortex field. And whenever you mess around with that energy, you can mess with the vortex field and make it do what you need it to do. And they've been perfecting that over time. Now, my biggest concern about Elon Musk is if if the AI, if we can plug directly into the brain like the Matrix, what happens if they're able to break you and hack into you through there? I mean, you lose the complete autonomy of your consciousness. You no longer know who you are, what you're doing, because you're completely controlled by a hive mind.
Hey,
Um,
Mike, you're getting a
I'm
little
getting some
feedback on your side. Or,
this microphone and headset and stuff that I was trying out, but
Angel,
um,
check mute yourself for a second.
all right.
Make sure it's. I just want to make. All right, so it's check your mute yourself real quick, Angel.
All right.
All right, so the background noise is coming from Angel. All right, Mike, you're good to go.
Are you
Okay.
outside, Michael?
Yeah, I
No,
am, but it's
no,
quiet.
no, the
It's
feedback is coming from Angel.
Yeah.
I was concerned that maybe it was my microphone and headset because I've been trying to do that to get less invasive to everything, considering my studio is outside. Not to be blaring and waking everybody up at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night with the stuff. So it's less.
It could be that we just need to mute when we're not talking. If we could practice that, maybe that helps with feedback.
No, it's just there was. It's like you got a fan on or something that's just starting to nothing. That's
or
great.
crickets.
It
He
sounded like
started. That's it.
it sounded like a hailstorm or something to me. It was really bizarre.
Right.
But I don't know. It might have been my microphone or like that.
Well, what the direction you were going with your conversation. There's one thing that has to be taken into consideration. If a person were to, if a person knew of course testimony, one of the uh, prominent issues that were happening is this group that were on a planet, some galaxy not too far from us, Mecca's planet, and apparently they did experience an AI takeover, and it's already, appears that this AI has came in and took over other galaxies, and they seem to have a regiment format. They play the same games because they're predictable because they're not able to create. They just
Well,
but they
they're AI. They do create. But the thing is that why change something if it's been working? Okay. I mean, if
Hmm.
they've been able to take over entire star systems and entire galaxies, what makes us better than all the others that they took over? Why should they try a different format if the format's working?
Well, I mean, it doesn't help that we're being ruled by a bunch of Satan worshippers. So, AI and Satan worshippers probably go hand in hand.
It's
Oh
always
yeah,
been.
if the
It's all
AI
about
makes
control.
if the AI makes the body easier to control, of course they'll go that direction.
That's the whole thing about the universe versus the metaverse. Is
Mm-hmm.
the universe was created by God, and which is one God created everything. Where the metaverse, what is meta? It's machines. So a machine verse. So your artificial intelligence is, that's where they're going to get their
Oh yeah, and
fruitful.
the more interactions we have. Go ahead.
when the games come out, these online games, these um, virtual
VR.
games, when they start Xbox and always starts upping their, the way they play games, you get these people, these gamers that are so hardcore. Now, my kids were very much into these gaming, but they're very adamant about they draw the line,
Mm-hmm.
not
They're,
play.
they're going to be programming the AI. The AI is going to be learning from the best and ends up taking out the best. Why?
It
Look at
learns from
Go.
everything. It learns from our
Exactly.
phones. It learns from the games. It learns from our calls, our messages,
24 hours
our
a day.
tracking, everything.
It
It's
doesn't.
how, it's how they want us to grocery shop, how they want us to do our banking. They're going to try and change the way we live our lives
Mm-hmm.
in order to, go forward. They
Yeah.
first make it sound like a good ideal, and they're gonna have all this plush love and light shit, and then before you know it, it's forced. It's already being forced, like we said before. The money system, they're not accepting cash in a lot of places. They want, your phone. I
Yeah.
I can't.
I don't carry my phone with me. I just tell them I don't have an iPhone.
Yeah, I can't pay my Verizon bill with a check. I have to pay with a credit card. I can't go to the store and say I'm paying with cash. It's like, no, that's not how we do it anymore.
Hmm.
Your cash is not welcome here.
Well, actually, if you want to do money exchange, you can't exchange cash anymore. Cash dollars will not be accepted in money exchange. They have to be in a digital account and that account transferred so that they can track all the movements.
Hence why it's AI. This is an
It's
AI move.
Yeah, exactly. It's an AI takeover. Jerry's in the chat and he's about the rover pics that he first saw in '87. He said he found life on Mars back in 2004. So interesting. That's out of my wheelhouse, so I can't really opine on any of that. You guys got any ideas on this stuff?
Well, I mean, when it comes to off-world life and civilizations and everything, a lot of there's a you know when you're going through the secret space program channels, they said everything. All these planetoids are inhabited. Most of the inhabitants live underground, though, in these vast underground cities. It's not really hard to believe, seeing what's taking place here on Earth with all of the deep underground military bases, the tunnels connecting every continent under the ground, under the oceans, and all it takes is one um, you know, catastrophic solar flare, and all life on the surface of planet Earth gets erased, but everybody underneath survives. So, you know, being
Well,
life on a
supposedly we've got one of those solar flares coming up. Supposedly,
yeah, don't count. Don't count. There's an event, these you got to understand. There is an ascension event taking place.
We just
Taking
had the solar flares over the last 2 days, class 5 or class
yeah,
M C5 solar flares. Yesterday it hit us, let's see, 1750 UT, that'd be about 1250 PM Eastern Standard. And the second one, 24 hours later, was at 1815 UT, that was 1:15 PM Eastern Standard. We had the planetary shock waves, and the first one hit right over the United States and South America.
we got
what
a
most
direct
people,
hit then.
Yeah, we all got direct hit, and it happened over the last 2 days. We've got 2 of them, and they're both class M. So there were
It seems
some.
like we survived then.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have these a lot. They just made a big deal out of nothing.
yeah, I mean, this is the sun's way of transmitting data from the core universe solar system.
Hmm.
So, you have all these toroidal fields going out, and they send information out in pulses.
And the sun is a real big one.
And our sun is how it transmits data to all the inhabitants of all the planets in its solar system. So these solar flares, yeah, if they can be dangerous, but the electromagnetic or magnetic electric fields that surround the planet are designed to,
Withstand it. Well, we did
to-
have planetary shock waves, and there were places, I think, in the Midwest where radio frequencies were interrupted for a
Well,
short
hold
while.
on. Yesterday, more or less at that time, we got a serious storm just roll right through here. I
Yeah,
didn't
we've
see
had
it
winds.
coming. It just the sky got dark and we got a hailstorm in the middle of nothing. It lasted for about 2.5 hours and then sort of faded away. And I felt funky the whole damn day. So, oh shit. Okay. I didn't realize we got a solar flare hit.
We got 2.
Two, two. And they were some funky days too. I
Hmm.
was out of sorts for those days.
well, I
Definitely.
can tell you this: I've had a horrible migraine for the past 3 days. So
Oh, dear.
But we're talking the science about the solar effects. But we have to recognize too, the sun is a logos that connects to other logos.
Hmm.
If you want to say that higher consciousness, these events that could be occurring, the solar event is also considered a consciousness. Will have a consciousness effect. Hence your pineal and what have you. And I mean, it depends. I mean, we can sit and worry about the scientific part, and that's the fear mongering part. But you got to put it all together. And this is where this event can be, promising thing. One, we're talking about AI. Well, they're going to be gone because that's the EMF takeout. So, and then
Well, it certainly seemed to set my brother off. So for the last 2 days, he's been email bombing me. So maybe it has something to do with how it affects people, their brains, their emotions, and all that stuff.
and then the metals you have in your body makes
Yeah.
if you get the jab and all that stuff. I mean, who knows?
Top of it.
Yeah.
well, I know when the migraines kick up, it's normally some sort of information overload. And especially when they last more than a day.
Yeah, you get really bad headaches when you're downloading information.
Yeah, so hopefully by tomorrow I'll start mitigating some of this information. And
Oh, I hope you feel better.
oh yeah, I feel better today. Just this morning was a little rough, but so far so good. Yeah, so these solar flares. Now, one other thing you got to realize when you're comparing or when you're contemplating these biblical Armageddons and everything else, these Satanist deep state assholes, I got a feeling a lot of the death and destruction is for them, not God's children, but not God's children.
They're destroying their own then.
Right. Yeah. So, they're, they don't follow the same book that we do. They have their own hidden Bible, and that way they worship to Satan, and they have all their seances and how they can contact
Oh
each
yes,
other.
it's all on them.
Coming to the surface too. They're no longer hiding anymore. They're coming out in plain sight. They're bold about it.
Right, and then
They're
they give
desperate.
this, and they give us this mutilated, um, minuscule version of, supposedly our creator God, with a lot of, mixed information and misinformation in there. And and of course it's got to be, the best lie has a lot of truth in it. A bad lie has no truth in it. It's unbelievable. Where a good lie has got majority truth, just twisted just a little bit. And if they're worshiping Satan, the what did I call him the other day?
The adversary.
Well, yeah, the adversary, the master of deception, the master of
Right.
lies.
Well, they take the truth and they wrap it in lies.
Right. So, so our holy Bible that, and the Quran and all of these is truth wrapped around, wrapped with a lot of intermingled with a lot of lies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to know the information, and it's important to memorize it, because you will see these things take place in your lifetime.
Yeah, and
But-
when you see how they project all of their ills onto us, then you can look at Revelations and say, this is for them, this is not for us.
But the one thing that Satanists do, and Orion, and this comes from the Orion system, is this contractual thing. And
Mm-hmm.
they're counting on our ignorance. Everything has a format, has a
Mhm.
contractual, it gets so technical, as we talked about maritime law and all that. They're counting on our ignorance.
Yeah.
So when you go about things and you really don't understand, I mean, something as simple as accepting mail at your home. If you have the two-letter identification of the state that you're in, you're accepting the mail as though you're in a federal zone. You have to actually accept it as longitude and latitude. But then, of course, that complements the fact that you don't have your home backed by FDIC alone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a host of things that you would have to do with the understanding of what they're doing contractually. Even registering your home,
Yeah.
giving it up. Your car registered is giving it up to the
Yeah.
state.
You're giving them authority over it,
Right.
because otherwise they don't have authority.
Right.
They only have authority if you're on their property, which basically any public property is theirs. So what you do on yours, which is generally why
Well-
people have the freedom of their
Keep-
own property and that sort
Keep
of
in
thing.
mind in this country that a lot of deeds, when people pay off their properties, they don't say owner, they say tenant.
I'll have to look at mine.
Yeah.
That would be completely fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
You're a
And-
tenant in your own home
Yep.
because they own the deed, even though you paid for it.
Right. They own you. Well, you have your title, but it's in a lot of states they'll say tenant instead of owner.
That's so fucked up. It's
Yep.
such a lack of respect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what and that's what the truckers are trying to fight against. Why? Because like they're saying, a lot of them are actually pro the jab. They've gotten it and that sort of thing, but they're protesting because they don't want people having to do something that they don't necessarily
Yep.
want to do. Because we learned that back in World War II, back in 38 through 43, that
Well, the chief of
Governments will
police
do
up there resigned.
okay, because he
The
doesn't
chief of-
want to crack
In one
down.
of the little townships, he resigned, and they've got pictures of some of these police officers fist bumping with the truckers and the protesters.
There you go.
There's reports of 8 people being arrested, but there's more reports of them just kind of standing around and watching what's going on.
Because they're not doing any harm.
Well,
You even
And-
had the
well-
veterans line up between the police and the truckers and lock
Well, there
arms.
you go. There you go. Exactly. I saw that video. That was awesome. Holding the line, literally holding the line. And they were, elbow to elbow, arms wrapped and linked. They weren't, not violent. They were just creating their line. It was unbreakable links to where, just don't cross this line. We're good.
Well, as of today, it's not as bad as the MSM is making it out to be.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Well, that's actually what I heard. Well, as of today, all the prime ministers from British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan,
Quebec.
Manitoba, Quebec, have all rescinded their mandates.
Yeah, I
except-
think Quebec was the last one, and the comment
Well-
was Trudeau's alone now.
Yep.
Yes, Trudeau's. They're waiting on Trudeau. He's the last one.
Well, they're saying that he might use his dual citizenship to get away. After all, his dad is Cuban, so he would have every right to.
You know what? I can't think of a better punishment. Let him go live in Cuba. Let his broke ass go live in Cuba with no money.
There you go.
That's
Well,
where
he's Castro. He'd have money.
No, not when
He'd
this
have
is
money.
over. None of these people are going to have money.
Oh, some of them aren't even going to have their hide.
Their
But
properties
anyway.
are all going to be seized. Their bank accounts are going to be seized. Everything is going to be seized. This is what we were told. These people are not going to have the means to live the way they've been living.
Well, hopefully, are the rest of us going to get better? Because shit's getting rough for most people.
Yeah, it is.
They can't
And
even
things will
walk the
get better
streets,
for us.
really. They won't, even if they have the money, they can't walk the streets. They can't enjoy a normal life.
Right.
I know people are going to see. That's one of the things that I was watching yesterday on a video, to where they were saying when all the stuff comes out, one from the Durham report, but the stuff that's starting to leak out from England and from the different statistics, the Department of Defense medical statistics that they released last week, all that stuff starts coming out, and now we finally see the mainstream media falling. Why? Because people that were telling them to do the shit they needed to do are falling out.
Well, Fox News has been calling them out, especially
Exactly.
CNN. I'm
Oh,
loving
and
this.
I watch and on OANN. I mean, holy crap, they've been hard hitting on OANN. They've been taking it to them. But yeah, when people start waking up and start figuring out that these people have been poisoning them and killing them and cajoling and controlling, it's going to be dangerous for these people to walk down the street. It's not that they're like we saw before, to where people are going to be yelling at them, "Hey, why did you vote for this thing?" or "Why did you do the other thing?" or "Why aren't you wearing a mask?"
No, they're going to
while
have
everybody
people
else?
taking pot shots at them.
Things are going to be extremely problematic for them.
I don't think they're going to be left to the public. I think the more serious crimes will be prosecuted and dealt with. It's the
or
lower
already
down
have,
to,
but we're still watching the show.
right?
But they have a problem with the public still being divided as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
that,
they're always going to be. There's going
Well,
to be a
you
certain
gotta
faction
realize-
of them that we're going to lose regardless.
you got to realize it's about to get worse for
Yeah,
everyone.
it's about to get real hairy.
We're still the event hasn't happened yet. The scare event hasn't even happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, once the scare event happens, once people, and it's supposed to be biblical, it's supposed to make
Yep.
everybody in the world just go, "What? WTF?"
Yeah.
Heart drop to the floor.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be bad.
Even those of us who are ready for it.
yeah, what about this false flag that I think they're trying to push, that this Chinese satellite hit the moon, or debris is falling on the
I
moon?
didn't hear about
See, the
that.
thing is, it's not. They were talking about it was the Falcon 9 from
Right.
Elon Musk.
Right.
Now they're saying it's not. They're taking the heat off Elon Musk. They weren't irresponsible and that sort of thing. And they are basically saying that it's a Chinese rocket that got out of control, and so now they're putting the blame on China. So I don't know how they calculate that or how they see it. Where there was a telescope able to zoom in and see the flag on the side of the rocket. Did they calculate the orbit, umpteen million times to figure out where its origin was most likely from, depending on the gravitational waves and its current trajectory?
They can usually identify him by the signals it sends back.
Much easier. Okay, then why didn't they do that before? Why did they think it was a Falcon 9?
They did. They're just not telling us.
Oh, because they don't want people looking at China yet, because the Olympics are still
Oh,
going
God
on.
forbid.
The interesting
Nancy was
thing,
out there
too-
telling everybody, don't say anything bad about China. She's
But-
telling the
Oh,
athletes.
Pelosi, that traitorous fucking cow.
But then it's interesting too. You have that movie Moonfall, which was
Mm-hmm.
written by the same guy who did Independence Day, which was predicting heavily on 9/11.
Yeah.
Now we have another prediction.
Yeah.
AI. We were talking about AI. That this is an AI infiltrated ship floating out there in a perfect orbit. There's so many calculations that don't make sense about the moon, and that
Yeah.
it's the only sphere in space that doesn't revolve. I mean, so many things.
Well,
So
they told us in the 1970s, the Death Star. That's
George
the moon.
News had an interesting video on yesterday, an old film from the late 60s about, when we all started doing the moon explorations. And a lot of the information that was in that video is information that we no longer hear. It's almost like
Sorry, we got you.
there's a generation who's aware of certain things, and it's not been talked about, and we've got two generations more who have no idea about some of this stuff. And there it is, they were showing it to us on television in the 60s.
Right. And okay, so you got cut off a little bit where our stream lagged out for a minute.
Oh,
But yeah, so they, in all of these movies, it is you can call it soft disclosure if you want, but it's still
predictive programming.
Predictive programming. They've been telling us. See, the thing is, my kids don't believe me. They think I'm fucking nuts. But
crazy.
I learned about this
That
stuff.
10-kilo hat. It is huge.
It's just anyway.
it's conditioned because you
but
look at the movies and they put the chemtrails. I watched one today. It's like you just see it flying across, and
Yeah.
those are that's condensation, my friend. That's condensation. It's normal. It happens with every plane. You
Yeah,
should just
condensation doesn't
understand.
stay in the skies. Condensation is usually a short trail and disappears a certain amount of space after the
I
airport.
know. Remember, the best lies have a little bit of.
I
truth
have
in them.
watched them and photographed them here in Florida since the 90s.
My grandmother, taught me. I was in 77. My grandmother was 79. My grandmother was telling me about the mark and how the
Mm-hmm.
leftist media twisted everything and how there's just this one world government that's going to be closing in on everybody. And my grandmother, who may she rest in peace, about a month ago now, but she was the one who told me about this stuff that my kids today think I'm crazy for. Why? Because a book 2,000 years ago told us that all this was going to be happening. And it's happening just like it was written. And it's scary.
we talk about the movies. You could take Rocky and watch it on VHS, and then you can watch it on DVD, and then you can see all the insertions of
Mm-hmm.
chemtrails. It's like, I know I didn't see that in the movie when I was rewatch it on DVD, and then when you conveniently have the VHS and you watch it, voila, it wasn't there.
Yeah,
So, this is
that was predictive programming. They also did it on the
or
Windows
conditioning.
logo. The first year that Windows had the big colorful logo with the sky in the meadow.
Oh
They had
yeah,
chemtrails across that sky.
That's messed up.
because they
Big
want
old
they
white
want you to
streak.
be they want that mainstream. They want you to think that is
Well,
normal.
it's done its job. I mean, when people like me point it out and say, look, I grew up in this state, that never used to happen, to somebody who's never
Oh, you're
paid
nuts!
attention.
You just never looked up. You didn't pay attention. You don't know.
Yeah,
What
they're
you're
like,
talking
oh,
about.
you
Let's
just don't know what
fly,
you're talking
and they
about.
seem to forgot their wallet because they make these drastic turns.
Yeah.
Then they form the X. Of course, satellite
Mhm.
mark the spot. That's where
No, and it's a grid because
Yeah.
they're flying back and forth, and so it's basically like an irrigation system.
Well,
You
they
just make
have to
sure
do
that
it low
everything's covered.
here. They have to do it low here in Florida, so we actually see the planes laying them. Out in the Midwest, they can get up really, really high, but here we have these breezes off the ocean and off the bay. So they have to fly low to get them to land on land, so we can see them coming out of these planes.
All right, and some of these are drones, but then there's some that are flown by pilots who are sworn to secrecy, but some of
These are
them come
planes.
out, and their ethics are being questioned. And some of these people,
We've got pictures of the tanks, the labeled tanks.
Yes.
They're even, in some of the tanks have even been labeled COVID. Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They're not just spraying these in grid patterns. I've seen pentagrams in the
Yes.
sky.
And I've seen other patterns.
Yeah, they're just you know, this
They're laughing
is,
at us.
it was a conspiracy theory 20 years ago. It's fact today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And, same thing with the moon. In 1977, it was a conspiracy theory that the Death Star was the moon, or the moon was the Death Star. And today, it's more and more fact. We have more and more whistleblowers coming out saying, no, man, there's bases on the moon. It's hollow. It's,
Yeah, but
Mhm.
we actually have Moonfall is talking about a crack in the moon, and we have two. There was a show on, what was it, Woodward TV, where he was talking about these two metallic balls that are in front of what I think, the United Nations, and the other one was
Oh yeah, yeah,
exactly, and they're metal balls, but it's a ball within a ball,
yeah.
and
I've seen
basically
those.
it's whenever we see an asteroid crack into the moon and just hit it hard and bust it open. That's going to be to where we saw in that time travel movie. Remember, the guy said they finally did it. They finally broke the moon. And in
So
the movie, you've got like half the fucking moon there. But what it is just cracking through that external shell that rang like a bell, according to Armstrong, and just cracking through it and showing the infrastructure inside, which is a wheel inside of a wheel inside of a wheel, like Ezekiel saw in the Bible.
I got a question. I got something to bring up. So, all right. So we see all the craters on the moon, right? Okay, that's obvious. We've seen it, the same moon, our whole life. May not always be in the right rotation, but we've always seen the moon.
Well, I had some channeled information about 15, 17 years ago that said the moon doesn't even belong there.
Correct.
And there's going to come a time when the moon is gone.
Correct. Yeah, it's drifting away a centimeter a year.
No, it's going to be taken away.
And then
pass it. It's flown in, and so it's going to be flown out. You're right. Sorry, let's let Carl finish his thought. Let's let Carl finish his thought.
The question is when was the last time we witnessed anything in our 40 to 50 year lifespan actually impact the moon outside of when Obama nuked it and when the Apollo program crashed something into it? Of course, only one of those was videoed.
Right.
When was the last time we've had any type of recorded impact on the moon that we didn't do?
So all those craters, according to astronomy, there's a certain time period, a periodicity of the crater hits from the probability of going through asteroid clouds and everything else. So there should be constant hits on it, going off and on. People
if
haven't
it came through the asteroid belt, that would explain it.
Yeah, we get the meteor showers all the time, and there have been impacts. Just nobody ever films them because nobody thinks it's interesting, because it doesn't create any explosions or anything else, because there's no oxygen there.
Oh,
so you're saying there's no new craters? You're saying there's no new craters on the moon? All those were there from the beginning.
I'm saying I'm just bringing up the question: why hasn't they ever been recorded in our lifetime?
Yeah, that thing came. I'm sure it came through the asteroid belt.
If we're getting bombarded, if our atmosphere is getting bombarded constantly by these meteor showers, how come we're not seeing any on the moon in over 50 years?
And is there any atmosphere, any shielding around the moon that protect it?
No, there is no atmosphere on the moon. It gets hit hard, supposedly.
Well, they tell us there's no atmosphere.
Right? We should see new craters. We should see large dust clouds. We should see streaks where these things
scarring,
off the side of it.
That is very true, and I agree with you there, Carl. We should be seeing those things, and we aren't. Or at least nobody's filmed them, and nobody's taken the interest to actually.
We've got cameras on that moon 24 hours a day. We've got civilian astronomers. You go on YouTube, there's a channel, Observe the Moon. And then there's all these other, there are dedicated telescopes all around the world specifically pointed at the moon. Mm-hmm. Yet we never see any change outside of its orientation.
The only thing anybody has ever seen is the moon wave. And I believe Crow 777 has his own video on it where he filmed it himself. And there's other people on YouTube who have filmed this wave that seems to just go across the whole moon.
A liquid wave.
And then perfect equinox. Perfect. Perfect distance, perfect blockage. And the rotation thing, Then there's talk about the hologram theory.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, that would be my theory. We live in a holographic multiverse. That's my theory.
Or that the moon itself is a holograph.
No, 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 no. The moon is actually a ship that was flown in. It's an observatory.
The Death Star. It blew up.
Mm-hmm.
It helped blow up. Not Tiamat, but
Yeah, it was
Mardo?
Tiamat.
it was Tiamat that it helped blow up. I can't remember.
Tiamat
But
It
actually
was
blew it up.
Tiamat and Marduk.
blew up.
Malbec.
Malbec, that's it.
Yeah. So it was a weapon a long time ago, and after
Mhm.
that war, they, deprogrammed it, shut it down, melted it down, so it can't be used again. And they've been using it as a base since then. Now, I'm sure it's still got plenty of I think the ship part of it is still working fine, but supposedly the weapon part of it has been dismantled. So.
But then there's the TV show The Expanse, where it's kind of a broad and total recall. The premise that Mars has captured humans that are not living there as slaves, told that Earth is no longer inhabitable, and then they proceed to have them work on going mining the asteroid belt, which is Tiamat blown up, And then you
Well,
have
The
You got
belt
two asteroids.
between the
One
belt
for
between
Earth.
Mars and Saturn, right? Because
Well, no.
there's an asteroid belt there between Mars and
That's
Saturn.
that's the remnants of Earth.
Yeah.
So our closest asteroid belt are the remnants of Earth. When Earth and Nibiru slammed into each other, it tore a chunk 1/3 of the planet Earth off and created the asteroid belt, and it created a lot of the comets around. The outside asteroid belt of our solar system was the destruction of Tiamat. Which is much
because
bigger.
it's 25 times the size of Earth, is what I understood.
Right. And so is the asteroid belt. It's
Well, you
freaking
have the
massive.
asteroid belt, and further out, you have the Oort cloud.
Yeah, I was going to say the Oort cloud. How many asteroid? We got the asteroid belt between Mars and Saturn, and then we got the Oort cloud outside, and then we got a greater Oort cloud outside of that, where the influence of the gravitational field of the sun kind of breaks down. But you're talking about another asteroid belt. Where would that one be? Because I was thinking the main one was between.
There is a huge one, and I don't know that it's an asteroid belt, but it's like a gray space, and it's like Carl explained with the toroid. It's like a huge infinity sign, and the Earth passes through it. And supposedly, every time the Earth passes through it, the era ends, but it interrupts radio signals. It causes 3 days of almost no sun.
Well, that's Revelations. That's what they've been talking about.
I would
Yeah,
say-
but this is an actual astrological event. This is
Yeah.
something that every galaxy
That's all God's.
has.
That's all God's timepiece.
Yeah.
And that's also what the Mayans were talking about. The big wheels.
And supposedly
going
we're
through.
supposed to be passing through it.
Well, yeah. You
At
got Elon
any
Musk
time
talking
in the
about
near
the Great
future.
Filter.
Yeah.
And we got the Age of Aquarius, which just started as well. And we've got the
Aquarius
the
just
filter.
ended.
No. We were in Pisces. Aquarius is starting.
Okay.
This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius.
No more twins.
And that is the water jugs. Supposedly, there's a lot of symbolism there as well.
Watch the
between
water.
divine
And it's also premonition of the AI. We have to
Mhm.
make the spiritual decision, what direction we're going to go. And
I
that,
honestly think the Kabal was going to take advantage of us passing through this void to institute that, to utilize it as a fear element, to get us scared that the world is going to end. And here, let us rescue you. And 3 days later, or 10 days, however long, some people say 3, some people say 10. And when you emerge on the other side, they'll say, oh, the AI saved us, which is bullshit because we would have survived it anyway.
True.
and then you
Being
got
in the right resonance.
2012. Then you got the movie 2012, where they were hustling people to Tibet in order to get into the inner city in order to protect themselves from the event.
Yeah.
The fear mongering is that is their primal weapon, is fear.
Let's make them afraid. Let's make them really afraid.
But see, that's what they do. They got to reduce your. Oh God!
Oh
your
my God, we're
resonance.
laughing at them. We've got to keep laughing at them.
Definitely.
Well, I love that. Everything that the deep state has been doing has been backfiring against them big time.
And when you
Like,
really see the mechanism of it, they're so childish.
oh yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, look at Trudeau.
Look at what?
Trudeau.
Oh, Trudeau.
Oh,
Yeah, I was about
He
to say
took
he's
off
such a
running to go meet with
they're
Soros and Klaus
terrorists.
Schwab.
I want to do this for the safety of our country. Look at those terrorists out there having campfires and bouncy houses with their children. Our country cannot handle those bouncy houses.
And then for him to come out and say that the only way to lift the restrictions is to institute the mandates. I mean, is this guy out to lunch?
he doubles down. He doubles down. He's an idiot. He doesn't
Did you
have his
hear the
own voice.
oxymoron though in that statement?
Absolutely.
In order to lift the
Absolutely.
restrictions, we have to institute the mandates.
Yeah.
What an idiot!
and
They're lies wrapped in lies, wrapped
my
in
God.
deeper fucking bullshit.
It's the
And they think-
Hegelian dialect, and people are swallowing a hook, line, and sinker.
Well, they still are because they don't even have to make sense anymore. They just have to say the right words.
They just have to look good doing it.
And they can't get their adrenochrome out too fast.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
Claire, careful with those words,
Yeah.
please, Todd. Careful.
They're not
But
getting it.
Yeah.
But we all understand you, and absolutely, the supply has dried up. Many of them are also drying up. We've seen many artists that were very youthful looking that are now looking really fucking old.
And avocado appears to be the new, and you saw that.
So
The what?
Canada's
Avocado seems to be the new terminology they're using for the pedos.
Oh, I haven't seen that, but sure. Sorry, Carl, you were saying.
Oh, I was going to say, talking about Canada, the Canada's deputy prime minister is now broadening the scope of their anti-money laundering and terrorist financing rules, so they can cover crowdfunding platforms like
Give, Send, Go.
and Give, Send, Go.
They're locking up their bank accounts. Do they really think that's going to work?
Well, they think their people are súditos, that they're subjects, that they can do whatever they want. As long as they put the laws and mandates in, they have every right that they mandate themselves to have. And therein lies the problem. That's why we have the convoy, because we're telling them, no, we are not a fringe minority. We are your fucking bosses, and this is no longer acceptable. You piece of shit peon. You serve us. Bow before the people, not the other way around, you elitist, arrogant piece of garbage.
Yeah, but he doesn't. Trudeau's a child. He's a child. He had to go running off to consult Soros
They
and
all
Schwab.
are. I mean,
He's
who was
a
Merkel?
freaking
Merkel
kid.
is too. And Biden is the oldest fucking child that's around. I mean, that guy's got a puppet. Obama's hand is so far up his ass, he doesn't even know how to speak without going, Hawaii.
Honestly, I don't think it's Obama that's controlling him. I honestly think it's Trump. I mean, look at all the stupid gaffes he's making and all the stupid shit he's doing. I mean,
They're just
Obama's not
making
going
him
to tell
look
him to
bad.
do that.
They're just making him look bad. Okay, you're right, because Barry's already gone and Hillary already has been dealt with as well.
I don't think they've been dealt with yet, but I think they're keeping a close eye on them because they're both still active.
Well, see, I don't know if it's them their lackeys or their clones that might be under control of the white hats as well to make them look bad. Right. Why interfere with an enemy when he's in the middle of destroying himself? And if you have control of that enemy and make him destroy himself even more by doing exceedingly stupid shit, more power to you and to your movement. So, yeah.
They're going to have to approach this through the law, because the minute they make a mistake, because these guys, the black hats are professionals at lawfare, so they have to follow this by the book.
They've been doing this shit for millennia. Yep. They wrote those fucking laws. They know what it is. That's how they avoid them. That's how they pardon. That's why we have to bring up new charges, because they keep pardoning themselves. For all
and they've claimed to have raided Mar-a-Lago, which they didn't. They just showed up and he handed them the boxes.
What, he gave them the nuclear codes?
No, he gave them the boxes of his mementos, letters from Kim Jong Un, and
Oh
things,
yeah, for his
photographs, things
library,
like
for
that.
his library, and
No,
Yes.
not for his library.
radio.
These are the mementos they keep for themselves. And they came and they took them from them because they're looking for the presidential executive, the PEADS, the PEADs. They're looking for those papers that he left. And they can't
Mm.
get their hands on him because they don't know what he's doing. They don't know how this is being handled. That's why they're panicking.
Panic in DC. It's all
Yeah.
written out. I mean, what is it? God, I remember when we were talking about this 4 years ago, and it just sort of died down. Nobody talked about it anymore. But Alice through the Looking Glass, and being able to see future events.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about future proves past in fucking years. Nobody's been talking about the Looking Glass. Why? Because it's not relevant anymore. Because we're in the middle of the movie. They already used Looking Glass to figure out what they needed to do, and they're doing what they need to do. However, we can't just sit back on our thumbs and do nothing, because in the end, what they're trying to do is wake everybody up, because the power is with the people.
Well,
And when
actually,
the people rise up,
to be honest, the biggest thing about the future proves the past is the fact that they have been erasing history. And what the past that you guys aren't aware of is because it's already been erased. So I think a large section of this future proves the past is we're going to witness them trying to completely erase everything. And that should prove to the normies and to everybody else that a lot of more of our history has been completely erased. We
that
don't
too,
know
but I
what
don't think that's not what they meant by future proves past. What they're talking about is the drops that go down 4 or 5 years ago have 3 year deltas, 2 year deltas, 4 year
deltas.
deltas, and that future proving the past is what they're basically talking about. What you're talking about
I
is
dream
showing
bigger.
us. But what you're talking about is the result of the movement. The Great Awakening means that we will know the truth. We will know how many lies they've told us. We'll know how much they've changed. I mean, we're seeing. Who sent me the movie on Gaddafi, to where they were showing how his people went from 25% literacy to 95% literacy. They had free school, free healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
New married couples have $50,000 in the bank account
To
in order
buy
to start
home.
their lives.
Living
You
in
know,
there
he was
every
loved by the people, and Hillary had to get rid of him. And now they have open air slave trades
Well,
on.
that's because he went ahead and instituted his own little reset there, and the global elites didn't like that. They didn't want the rest of the world catching on.
He wanted to eliminate the debt of Africa and put everybody on a
Yeah,
gold
I
standard.
believe Karen Huda's addressed that back in 2015.
But we were talking about the Looking Glass thing, and the effects of what they do in the past.
But
Yeah.
hold on, Jacob. Jacob said Looking Glass equals a chronovisor. They are two different things. The chronovisor is different, and some of your guests, actually, Jacob, actually mentioned that Looking Glass is different. They are not the
Yeah,
same
Andy
thing.
Basiago talked about that.
Exactly. That's the one that
The
was.
yellow book was more personalized for
That's a whole nother thing. I mean, we got
right.
the Looking Glass, we got the chronovisor, which is only like a TV that moves into that resonance, and that's the thing that Bashiago was talking about.
Yeah.
And yes, it was on Aaron Moriarty's channel. You're right, Mud Rabbit. Thank you for reminding me. And the yellow cube was something that was before the Looking Glass. The Looking Glass was something that was kind of AI and dimensional portal that was trying to equal what the yellow cube was already doing well beforehand. So we've got three different things that are going on here.
When I was going to
I
speak,
was under the impression that Looking Glass was a program where you fed in a bunch of probabilities or a bunch of actions, and it would spit out different probabilities. If you do this, this happens. If you do that, that happens.
See, that would be the AI Looking
quantum
Glass, and that's
computing.
what Google's doing, and that sort of thing.
that's quantum.
But that's a whole nother one. That's not
So
the Looking Glass. The Looking
I was-
Glass is actually kind of like what Tesla was doing, which is opening up portals to different times and being able to see the different dimensional probabilities of the multiverse. Sorry, Angel, Carl. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
I wanted to build on Carl's point and your point. There is something, because I know that Carl's right. They have attempted to go into the past to change something.
Hmm.
The only thing is, there is an argument that time has a tendency to snap back, and then there's an argument that 2012 that timelines are starting to merge.
Yeah, and after
Right.
2012, there's
So
nothing they can do. They had to have all this sewn up.
Right.
yeah, what it is they could change things, but it doesn't matter what they change. The outcome is still the same.
And the big fear is the possible.
2012 was a great convergence. Everything came to a head in 2012, which is why the Mayans said it's the end of the world. No, it was the end of an age.
Right.
We are
So
moving into another one.
just to
Go
help
ahead.
everybody, so the yellow cube was a gift from somebody, one of the species. And then they created the looking glass from the yellow cube. The yellow cube, they did two things. They created a Stargate from it, and then they created this through the looking glass technology. But through the looking glass technology, it's actually a device that has a portion of the yellow cube or the yellow cube's technology in it, to where the person stands on a platform and grabs two handles, and in front of them is this vortex, and then they get to see whatever timeline that they want to see. But the
But it's a
individual
timeline they want to see depending on their consciousness and their perception
Right.
of reality.
So a lot of them reflects what they actually see.
Yeah.
So that's what that is which
I
is
was
why
told that Hillary used it and it worked against her because her ego kind of interfered, because they don't feel that really this is for human. It's not a human technology.
Well,
And
these people are service to self. They're STS. So they're going to have expectations of what they want to see. And they're going to push it until they see what it is they want to see. They're very subjective.
right,
They're not objective at all.
right, which is why Hillary Clinton knew she won the presidency, the 2016 election. She knew she won it. She saw it through the looking glass technology.
Yeah.
She knew she won. So they already had her victory speech wrote. They already had the newspapers printed up. They had all kinds of things set in place because they already knew she won.
Right.
But it was after 2012. So, and she
They didn't consider any of the other possibilities.
Right. So,
and hence why our post from 17 is still valuable to us.
Very relevant.
Further. Yeah, because they don't have to go further, because future proofs. All we got to do is revisit, and research, and we will keep finding possibilities, because Looking Glass already gave us the future, and it's all in those posts.
Yep.
See, the thing about all that stuff, and getting into Jacob's comment right there, is that all humans are self-serving by nature. Yeah, they kind of are, and that's our own sinful nature. Is there
No,
an
we are
echo
third
somewhere going on?
density. We're third density. We consume. We are by nature of our physical being,
Yeah,
service to self.
here's
We have to survive,
It's
but we
what
try
we
and
do.
get our resonance.
Yeah,
we
it's
try and
what
get
we
our
do to try to
resonance.
raise our vibrations. But by being born in this third density physical body, we are by our very nature service to self. We consume.
Right. It's a matter if you go to the grocery store and you buy some bread and this and that, and you walk out and you see someone that's hungry, and you're trying to feed your family and have that bread last a week. Are you still going to take a portion of your bread to help that family, and know that somewhere along the line?
Right. It's what you do with your knowledge and how you strive to be a candidate for service to others, because we can't be service to others completely while we're here in this density.
But that's part of our resonance, is part of what we try and learn.
Yeah,
is
we
to
can
be
hold service to other ideals and follow through on them, and we can strive to make ourselves better that way.
I don't know.
I had a guy come up to me and he came up to me, and I was about to park my car and finishing off my beer. I still had half a beer in my can, and he comes up to me, and I knew he was going to be asking for a cigarette or something. So I just looked at my can, handed him the can, and he was like, "Oh wow, I was going to ask you if I could buy a cigarette from you," and I ended up giving 2 cigarettes to the guy, plus my half a beer. He was happy as could be. I didn't think anything of it. Why? Well, that's 10 cents a cigarette. I'm basically giving the guy money, but I'm giving the guy what I would want if I were in his shoes and what I could read in his mind that he was after because he saw
Hmm.
me lighting up a cigarette and he came on over. Why? Because usually not many smokers around. So if you can find somebody that smokes, you do. And so I
Well, it
did.
also
It
it
didn't mean
also
anything
goes
to
to
me.
our very thoughts. How we police our thoughts.
And it also
Because you
goes
can
to
you
like
can do good
this.
works and have evil thoughts.
But
Oh,
see,
absolutely.
all right. So I just disagree with Jacob completely because most of us, I mean, in our youth, it's all about ourselves. But the first time you learn to share with somebody, you learn that the gratitude from the whoever receives the gift is more valuable than the gift itself.
Right.
That usually happens when you become a parent,
That's taught at
but
it.
not
That's
all parents.
It's the
well, not
intention
all.
behind the gift.
But then there's also the recognition there's only abundance. We only believe in lack. We've been taught lack.
Hmm.
Abundance like oxygen. It's always there.
Yes,
Always there.
absolutely.
And if you only have one of something, well, you gained it somehow. It
Yeah.
may not have been for you. You just a temporary possession of it. So
But
you
in
pass it
reality,
on.
the
It's
only way that the
just
only way that
stuff.
you gained your bread is by helping someone else because someone else gave you the means for you to go out and buy the bread.
Yeah, pay
So
it forward.
exactly. But having a job is actually helping someone else. That's what the intention is. Nowadays, it's about how much I can get back from that. But the original intention was I have extra time. I've already finished my construction. I can help somebody else with their construction. I can help somebody else with their garden. I can help somebody else with their, mathematical problems or
Hold
whatever.
on.
You go out and you help someone else. Go ahead, Carl.
Hold on. Hold on a second. So, Jacob, I would like for you to start watching a few videos of the truckers in Canada. All right. Because if that's the way you think, then you're not opening your eyes. Because you look at those truckers in Canada, they have tractor trailer rig trailers full of donated goods.
Hmm.
Yep.
People outside of their trucks, standing in the cold for hours and hours and hours, holding up signs. They are giving everything that they can to these truckers and to support them
And the
any way that.
truckers are giving them everything as well because they're not getting paid throughout any of this. Their families aren't getting fed. But at the same time, they're there with their picnics and their cookouts and they're singing and they're just trying to have a good, happy time while they're there. But they understand that they are there because the government is not following what the people want. Uh,
And they're willing to sacrifice their time, their money, their
Hmm.
property, everything that they own. They are sacrificing, including their lives. They're putting their lives on the line being out there. Because if the government gets a hold of them, their lives are over and everything that they own is over. So for you to sit there and say that all humans are self-serving and
but
you know
in some points,
only get
Jacob's right.
charity if you have
But
surplus.
But it is an argument to say that when you give, sometimes what you're getting out of it is to feel good. So there's a selfishness in wanting to feel good.
Well,
Yeah,
if you're
but
doing it
what
to feel
what
good, then
he's
that
talking about is people that need aren't going to be able to donate. For example,
if
I
you're doing it to feel good, then you're still doing it to
in
service
service to yourself.
yourself.
Exactly. You're
So
that.
I was in a grocery store. I was with my wife, and I always tease my wife openly, and I'm giving her crap, and this little old lady, she's looking at me, and she gets on my case. You shouldn't treat your wife like that, blah blah blah. So then she went to pay her bill, and she didn't mean it in a mean way. She was just getting on me.
Yeah.
Went to pay her bill, and she didn't have the $15, whatever it is she was trying to get her groceries, and
Aw.
she wasn't living the dream life. So I looked at the cashier, gave her a nod, and I said, "She's got it." And then she let her go, and then I paid her bill. And then when I went outside, the little old lady proceeded to get on my case about how I should love my wife. I just wanted to give her a hug and kiss because she's such a sweet thing. So
But I wanted to
that
get back
made, that made me
to this
feel so
point.
good. It was just
That's the advantage to getting older, is you can speak your mind more freely.
right,
Absolutely. But one of the things that I wanted to get to was the fact that, yes, we need to give more than we survive. However, when we are not in service to self, we have a tendency to have more than we need to survive. Why? Because blessing others ends up being a blessing on us. Whenever you live a godly life, you end up reflecting that because you build the pieces and things that
You
you need,
have
and
exactly what you need. You have
you will
exactly what you
have
need.
extra to give to
Hmm.
others.
Well,
Yep.
Whenever you're in service of self, you never have anything that's left over. You can only survive because your survival levels constantly grow. You
Hmm.
constantly need more to just survive. So there's never anything left over.
Well, that's because they program us to need more.
Well, $60 landed in front of me not too last week. I spent all my money, and my wife wanted to go grocery shopping, and I wanted to enjoy that experience. I love going out with my wife. We tease, joke with each other. We have a good time just grocery shopping. And she was upset because I spent all the money, and she's like, our weekend was coming. I get out, and and we joked about how we're going to find money at the gas station on the floor. And sure enough, I get out of my car, I step up. No sooner I look down, there's $60 sitting right there. Took that 60, went and bought myself some tacos for 10, and the rest I got home to throw it on my wife's lap, and we went shopping.
There you go.
all right. What I was going to say is, after the hurricanes, I was stuck in a cabin down in Louisiana for about 6 months. During that 6 month time, there were these flash floods that just came in. These storms that Lake Charles already suffered 2 hurricanes and a freeze, and then these storms just stopped over Lake Charles, and it rained over 18 inches in just a couple hours, and people lost their homes that they just fixed. And so the cabins where I was staying at, we'd get these people that just lost everything for the third time.
Yeah.
And I watched those people they didn't have anything left, and still had no problem giving when they saw somebody in worse shape than they were. And of course, I adopted 4 girls in this tiny little cabin for almost 2 months, just because the mom was having some real issues, and they weren't feeding the kids, and the kids didn't have any clothes. So we just called the church, and
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
right. And, and it wasn't just the church that gave, but the other neighbors that, they just lost their house. They lost their clothes. They lost everything. They still scrounged up what they could to help
Yeah.
these children. So it's, if you have that belief, then that means you're focused on that. That means all you care about is yourself.
Well, you
Right.
know
Not
about
your
abundance by giving.
love from everybody else, because I don't see very many selfish people in this world. I really don't. Unless you're a Democrat, then okay, I see they're very, very.
You learn more. You learn more about when you give. You learn more about abundance. How much abundance there is when you give, because that fulfillment, and then the knowing that, yeah, I give it up now, but it's going to come back. It always comes
It
back.
always comes back.
It always comes
Always
back.
comes back.
I'm
Yeah.
at a
And it's
point
not
in my
what you
life
want.
right now where my needs are all met, and I don't have to worry about what's coming next or who's where in my life. It just seems right now I've hit a point in my life where there's balance. And
I'm
it
at
all has to do with not being so focused on material things.
this,
And
I
that's a
keep
good
telling
thing.
you, it's not a
Mhm.
material world. You're taught it's a material world, but brother, this ain't solid.
Mm-mm.
None of this is solid.
None of it's real. I mean, it's only
None of
solid
it's real.
here in third
They're
density, but when
vibrations.
you get out of this density, it's not real anymore.
Mm-mm. I mean, to be honest, when you dream and you experience these other dimensions, they are just as real as this one.
Oh,
Okay.
don't tell me that, because I've had some pretty scary ones.
Well, there's some scary things out there. There are. And, but they are just as real as this one.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all energy, it's all frequency and vibration.
Yeah.
What you think is solid just has a slower resonant frequency than you do.
Well,
What you think is transparent, like this air, this void that's in between us, that's just moving at a faster frequency.
And
made
it
of
is
atoms,
loaded with all kinds of archons and
made of
elementals and little nasties.
made of atoms with electrons, protons, and neutrons wrapped
Mhm.
around space. So
How can we change our resonance so that we can actually go through walls and shift? Is that actually a possibility? So once we
I don't
understand
know.
everything,
People
or
are
we just
talking about that,
First
but
of
I
all,
don't
you got
see.
to.
that's
I
a
don't.
density thing.
Yeah, I don't see how we can do it and still remain in third density. We'd have to have some sort of ascension to fourth density to be able to do that.
Or technology.
Yeah.
Now we can, I mean, we can alter our physical state. We can alter, because our consciousness is our most powerful tool. Our soul, if you want to look at it like that, it vibrates at the highest density, which is why we can travel into other dimensions regularly when we go to sleep or when we're in a trance state. Physically, we bounce between really close dimensions that are vibrating just out of phase of this one. All right, now we are physical bodies. As far as I know, it's our physical bodies. I don't know if our consciousness is just doing it or it's our physical bodies. I'm not sure. I haven't figured that out yet. But I know we're not in the same dimension that we were in last month, 10 years ago. We're constantly changing dimensions. All right. This is what the Mandela effect is all about. This thought of time travel that you guys keep talking about, it doesn't exist. Okay.
it's different dimensionalities of the same reality?
Right.
Because all times
Different
happen at the
timelines
same
and
time.
time zones that people can view and travel to. They're just different dimensions. Okay. They're
Of the
just
same
resonating
reality.
at a different frequency based on this reality that we know. There are very little differences, but there are differences. It's how we know we're in a new dimension. It's not that you're gone crazy. Nobody moved your fucking keys. Just the new dimension that you're in, they put them someplace else. So we bounce from dimension to dimension to dimension. Our consciousnesses bounce from dimension to dimension to dimension when we're dreaming. If you've got the right technology, you can change the resonant frequency of a wall and walk right through it and be on the other side of it. Okay. And you just hit a switch and the resonant frequency changes and the wall's solid again. But you've already passed through it. Now, can you vibrate your entire body fast enough to move through something solid? Fuck, I don't know.
Not in a third density body. I don't think so.
Not without help.
Yeah.
But I could tell you this, you can react faster than you physically are capable of with thought and intention.
Mm-hmm.
You know that. You can curve a bullet with thought and intention. I've seen it done.
Well, Bruce Lee tried that and lost. So did his son.
No.
No, that was in
his son
that
got
movie.
hit with shrapnel, but no, he died from electrocution. Bruce Lee died from electrocution, as far as I know. But I mean, Bruce Lee.
I thought Bruce Lee was trying to avoid a bullet, and he got shot because of it.
No,
And
his
son
son
tried the
was
same stuff.
his
and
son
that's what
was
took his
killed
son.
by a bullet.
Yeah,
because his son was trying to do the same thing that his dad did.
No, they had a prop gun that was accidentally loaded. Somebody replaced the cartridge with an actual
a Baldwin situation. Holy fuck.
No, so in the movie The Crow, when they were filming The Crow, there was a scene where they had 30 guys shooting Uzis at him, and one of the blanks in the round, a blank, it's just supposed to pop open, and it just gunpowder ignites, the brass just pops open, and that's it. Well, one of the brass casings broke off and hit him in the back of the head, penetrated his skin.
Damn.
Or
that was an accident.
They went to the store. They didn't have a gun. They went to some type of reseller or something and got a gun to be a prop gun. And I think they dismantled the hammering mechanism or something, and they used it. And then somehow he got shot. But was it during The Crow?
It was during the movie The Crow.
I heard it was during filming.
Yeah, because then they had to do an alternative ending or something.
Yeah, they had to switch things out because he died before the end of the film.
Yeah.
But I had understood that he had tried to do the same type of stunt that his dad had tried to do. So, Carl, educate me on the death of Bruce, because I thought Bruce died from the same thing.
But then was killed. they went after Bruce with the mafia thing, the Chinese mafia. They warned him about bringing martial arts to the U.S. That was the big beef.
All right. So real quick. So Bruce Lee, one of his strengthening exercises is he would hook himself up to, I can't remember if it was a car battery or some, I don't remember the source of the electricity, but he would use electroshock therapy to strengthen his muscles.
No, but I did that. I have those
Yeah,
electrical things for my abdomen and for my back.
You can
I
do
got it
that
for
with the
my
TENS unit.
Yeah,
I
but
got it
he
for
was
my
using,
neck, and that was on a constant basis, and so it's electric
right,
shock.
but he
It's
was
not a
using
bad thing.
high voltage. He was using a lot of amps when he
yeah.
was doing
He would push himself. He would even eat dinner and pound on a wooden table or a stool to straighten his arm. He was constantly working out. He was obsessed.
So anyway, he overdid it. He overdid it. And yes, to whoever was that, yes, Jacob Waters. All timelines are different dimensional frequencies. So
Well, that's what Nikola Tesla said in 15, something like that. Whenever his maid had to save him from his machine because he almost went fucking insane because he saw all times at the same time, and it fucking drove him nuts because he was
Right.
seeing everything at exactly the same time because he simply was in a machine that was able to shift those dimensionalities, those frequencies. And so, yeah, that's something Nikola Tesla told us a century ago.
So, just trying to you got to remember that everything you've been taught about this world, about who you are, about what you are, what your capabilities are, is a lie. What you're hearing in politics and world history and social history and I mean, even the Bible is, and don't take it the wrong way, but it's full of lies.
Oh, come on, Carl. Don't hurt me there, buddy. You
The
know I'm a
time
Bible banger. You know I'm a Bible banger, buddy. Don't hit me there.
it's, but it's not 100% accurate. It's not 99% accurate. All right. There's a lot of twisting of
He
of
tampered with it. King James tampered with it. I mean, they constantly tamper with the Bible.
there's missing
Took
books.
women out of
You know,
it.
they out of 777 books, you get 13. So, how big is your Bible? How big should it be? 777 books were the original books of the Bible. You get 13. 13 broken. So that's just something to think about.
Actually, I
Well,
always thought that was bizarre because we actually have 66 books in the Bible that
66.
were defined in
I
300
knew it was the
years
same number.
after Jesus's because Constantine was a Mithrist. And so they wanted to integrate Mithraism into all that and create their own versions. And they've found the commonalities in all the different versions of the Bible. But we've got the Dead Sea Scrolls, we've got the Qumran, we got the Book of Enoch that is supposedly reserved only for the last days. And yeah, Jerry's right on it. And we've got other books that we've seen in Septuagint actually tells us what the original versions were. So we try and keep as close to the original versions as possible. So there are things that we do to try and make sure that we are not distorting it as much as possible. But even with that, the basic thing of it's a history from a Hebrew perspective, and I get that. Okay, their enemies are their enemies, and they're always going to portray them in the worst light possible. That's what people in civilizations and societies do. I get that. I understand that. We also try and understand the history from the other perspective, and so we study the Sumerian texts and Sitchin's translations of them, even though Jacob's going to correct me and say that some of Sitchin's work wasn't perfect, and they're correcting some of his
No, I
translations
think
of the works.
Sitchin kind of used some of his imagination on that.
Actually,
Most likely.
okay,
Some truth wrapped in some fantasy.
Sitchin didn't do the research he said he did. He
Yeah,
used
that too.
those translations to do it. Now, here's the beautiful thing. If you don't want to believe everything Sitchin said, you can go to UCLA website, the college website. They have a translator, and then you can download the translator, and then you can bring up the Sumerian tablets and have them translate it yourself and read them.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
read it yourself. The best thing is to read it
Work
yourself.
You don't have to believe what other people say. Um,
But people don't have time to do that kind of research. We ought to do something like that on this channel, Carl. Let's set something up. Let's do like a Thursday of translating Sitchin online or
I
translating
have
some
enough
things online.
problems. I have enough problems following today's bullshit. More or less years ago's bullshit. All right.
Sitchin
You
is
know,
passe.
trying to discern fact from fiction in today's media. I'm going to have the same problem with fact and fiction 6,000 years ago, except now I have a mediator in between me.
You
So,
have an AI mediator that's going to tell you what the AI wants to tell you because
Yeah.
you don't
right.
even know because you don't read that, so you can't even do it yourself to see if the AI is doing it right.
All right. So I
And
want to
as
answer Jacob's question real quick. He says, name one subject in history that we have good record of that we wrote about 100 years after it happened. Fine. Nikola Tesla. You name it,
there we go.
son, we can answer it. All right. We got his life mostly documented. All the major happenings in his life have been thoroughly documented, including all the horrible propaganda that they have pushed
Yeah.
over his name. And of course, you can bring up Einstein. My gentleman Mike here is a Einstein fanatic. And you can read all the propaganda bullshit that they put out about him that's not true. So, there's a lot of wrong history in there. But we have it anyway. And
But also
half our
control is,
civilization built on propaganda.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
misinformation in the books and history, all that was been done. All that's a classic move of this AI gods and these prophets. So we really don't know our history. We really don't know. I mean, we don't know jack shit. Even our science is bogus. We have to undo and reprogram ourselves from all the bullshit. You know.
All in all, well, I don't think we need aliens to correct our history for us. There's enough information out there. We just need to get the assholes who control information to stop controlling it. I mean,
It's easy to rewrite history. It only takes 2 generations.
Absolutely. People don't remember it. I mean, I only remember what my grandmother told me back then, and I started looking into the same things. But at the same time, people don't know. My kids have no idea what my parents knew, what my parents passed on to me, because it's just too much information. They don't need it. They don't want it. They're not interested in each generation. Yeah, and in reality, the Bible tells us that the education only lasts one generation. All this intellectual things that I keep looking for, every time I look it up in the Bible, it tells me, hey, you're being an idiot. Just follow what I already told you because you're going to figure out what I'm already been telling you. And at 50, yeah, all the stuff that I was figuring out, he already told us in that book in different ways, shapes, or forms.
Here's an example of how they erase history. This event that just took place over the past 2 years just erased, I would say, about 60 to 70% of those people who have firsthand knowledge of certain events of the past. We have a few people, left that's over 60, 70 years old. But, this event that has affected the entire world just erased a lot of people's firsthand knowledge and firsthand experience. So they're erasing history as we speak.
Because nobody's talking to anybody anymore. Nobody's getting any information that they don't get from the mass-fed media. They don't get any information anymore. In fact, we think that Ukraine's a thing.
Well, the whole point of Biden pushing this Ukraine, we're going to war, we're going to war, we're going to war, is just so he can evacuate the American embassy and destroy all of his money laundering paperwork. I mean, once they evacuate the embassy, they can destroy all the evidence, and what's left?
Like every other embassy has been shredded.
White Hats already have it all. They said they have it all.
Yeah, it's too late, but
Too late.
they're trying
to
hide
whatever they want.
They've already got it.
They still got to try.
They will try, and the thing is, no, they're not. That's just a side gig of them being able to destroy the information. But they need a distraction from $30 trillion is coming due, and the Chinese are collecting their fucking debt. and the world is shifting, and it is no longer under their power center, and they don't want people to see or understand, and so they need to distract everybody with as big of a fucking event as possible. So, what's bigger than war with China and Russia at the same time,
The Olympics.
which nobody went to and nobody watched?
Oh wait, that was the Super Bowl. Yeah, I really wish they had Convoy would have just blocked all that shit off because we could have
I
done
was I was hoping for that, and that's kind of my problem because everybody's, oh, this is going to happen, the other thing's going to happen, the other things, and none of it fucking happens, and our life continues the same miserable thing.
No, the big leaks came after the Super Bowl. All this stuff that Durham has, it's starting to drip. I mean, we got
Oh,
the
they
first
came
two
up right
big
after the
drips.
Super Bowl. You're right. You're right. That came out right after the Super Bowl. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a
And
marker.
everybody's looking at Hillary right now, going, "WTF?"
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is that I was thinking they were going to take down the Super Bowl for the child trafficking, and that would have been a great,
right.
interlude to all this shit. But they just let the Super Bowl continue to happen. The Rams won it at the end, which, if you listen to Jacob Israel's show, that would be a symbol of righteousness over the
Right.
Antichrist.
That shouldn't have. See, that shouldn't have happened because the Bengals were predicted to win. Simpsons predicted the Bengals to win. It's the year of the Tiger. China predicted the Bengals to win. How did the Rams win? Especially since we know the game's rigged in the first place.
Well, look to Jacob Israel's show. He puts in all kinds of spiritual symbolism into the names of the teams, of the players, of the quarterbacks, and what they've been able to do over time. And so there's a lot of spiritual symbolism in
Well,
all of
there's a
those
lot of
things that Jacob Israel gets into.
astrological symbolism too. I mean, we're coming into the period of the Ram, Aries.
What'd you say?
No, we just came into the year of the Tiger. The Ram,
No,
I
I'm
think we
talking
just left
about
behind.
astrology.
Yeah, but the Chinese astrology, we're in the year of the Tiger.
Right. But going into March, we're going into Aries, the Ram.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so all right. Okay,
March would be Pisces. Aries would be.
Pisces is before Aries.
yeah, because Aries is the first, Pisces is the last. I'm Pisces, I know, because I'm the last fucking one on the zodiac. Anytime that I look at the horoscope, I've always got to go down to the bottom because Pisces is always the last fucking one there.
I'm
And Aries is
Aries on a
right up.
Pisces cusp. I'm so confused.
You're your own worst enemy, my guy.
I'm a
Because
Taurus on Alliance. Taurus and Lion, Leo.
yeah, well, Leo is in service to self and loves to aggrandize and that sort of thing. And Taurus likes to bully people around and get its shit done as well. So that makes a lot of fucking sense. That meshes with you, buddy. I got you there. I see
It
it. I
does. It
see it.
does.
We're there. We're there. I'm Pisces. I dream like a motherfucking, and I got no basis on reality. It's all just a bunch of figments of my fucking imagination.
Brother,
Try to figure shit out.
it's all. I'm telling you, it's all communication. It's not figments of your imagination. There's no such thing as imagination. It is all communication.
And I,
There's no such
Think
thing
you're
as
imagining,
imagination.
you're imagining something. You're picking up a dimensional frequency. All right, and you're receiving that information. It may seem like an idea or something that you're doing, but remember, these dimensions bleed. They're just
You're picking up on that string.
so you're picking up on that. And that's one of those things. Is you ever thought that you're capable of you had a vision to where you wanted to really hurt somebody and you went through the motions in your mind? What is to say that in another dimension that you didn't actually do that?
Yep.
And that's what you're seeing. You doing those.
My mother
things.
always said, thoughts are things.
Yeah, and they are because basically in the book that I'm still writing, and I hope to finish it by my birthday. God, I've been promising this thing for 10 years. Anyway, but in the essence of the book, basically, it is that whenever we think something, we are creating a potentiality in the quantum multiverse that at that instant becomes a reality. Because even if only 15% of a probability of that happening, it actually happened in those 15% of the probability of you. Now, the thing about seeing these visions beforehand is going, ooh, crackhead lost his teeth. can't get a job and is dying of hunger, homeless on the street. Yeah, I'm not going to go down that line. So thank you. No, I won't do that. I'm going to
Version you
continue
get.
on down this one. So we see those things and those tendencies, and it's a way for us to say, no, that reality I don't want to make probable. It is potential because I thought about it, but I don't want it to become probable. What becomes a reality in your reality is what the probabilities end up coalescing around, which is what the quantum physics talks about. All the realities exist at the same time in different probabilities. Where the largest probability lies is where the realities end up being created and fomented and carried forward. And so we want to make sure that those larger probabilities are under beneficial situations that will help us grow versus destroy us over time. And I started talking, we had 5 people viewing, and now we have 2. So I'm going to shut up and let y'all talk because evidently y'all are more interesting. So go ahead.
So,
I'll just
I mean,
add and say that there is no time. So sure, when you think something, it's already created. It's just a matter of you bringing it into your 3D
Hmm.
reality.
or your dimension. When if you take the word probability out and you just add dimension into it, you know, when you think something, you create something. The reverberances of your actions or your thoughts reverberate from one dimension to another. So you can either create it into you could manifest it in the dimension that you're currently at, or you can allow another dimension to manifest it. Either
The
way,
amount of energy that you put into it will increase the probability of it becoming a reality for you. The
right.
simple
You have
fact
to
that you
work.
thought it, which is why we have to have control of our thoughts, because the
Thoughts are
simple fact that you
things.
thought it, it became a reality in one potentiality. What more we focus our energy onto is what makes it more probable and real in our version of reality. But if we don't control our thoughts, that thought becomes a reality in some other dimensionality. And so
We
we
call
need
it
to be able to reduce the negative potentialities that we create by
we,
limiting the negative thoughts that we have.
we call it manifestation.
Correct. But I mean, if you take the law of attraction principles, you if you put something out there and you don't get so detailed about it, because when you start getting detailed, you're actually starting to push it away because like when people try and focus on winning the lottery, well, everybody's trying to focus on the winning the lottery, and before you know it, you're pushing it further away because you start convincing yourself how you cannot get that because it's impossible.
Hmm.
If you put something out there and relax, let it go, and let it come when it comes, and don't force it, don't push it, don't think thoughts that are going to negate it. You just want to relax.
Visualize it and just stay focused on it now and again, just
Right.
passively.
Well,
Even
So
that's what
here's
basketball players do. That's what football players do. They talk about being the ball,
Hmm.
visualizing the play before you do it. Basketball players sit there and before they shoot a free throw, they're sitting there going through the motions
I
because in
used
their
to have,
mind they're seeing the ball leave their hand and going into the
yeah,
hoop, and they're visualizing what they're doing beforehand, and it
and they're
increases the
seeing it
probability
go.
all right.
it
So here's
increases the probability of them getting it right.
Yeah, I had
so
a
here's
friend who used to do visual boards, and she would take pictures or draw pictures or cut pictures out of magazines and put them in a frame and keep it where she'd see it every
And it
day,
works.
several
You
times a day.
focus on it every day, you make it a reality.
Yeah, the things that this girl accomplished in her life would blow your mind.
well, I was going to
She
say,
put them
if
out
you
there.
want to win the lottery, figure out how much money is in the lottery, and then go out and window shop. And when you window shop, don't just, oh, that would be nice to have in my house. No, you look at it as if you're going to buy it that day
Yeah.
and how much
Well,
money
this
you're
money is the middleman. Just go straight to it. She got herself a new car,
where.
she got herself a house, and it
Yeah.
had nothing to do with money.
right, I have a negative account and get into a new car and tell the salesman, "This is my car. I'm going to be buying this," and you confirm. Then you go out, you go back home and say, "Okay, how am I going to get this car?" And then because you're feeling good about it, like this is it. You don't down your old car. You're like, that car got me everywhere I need to go. I'm very happy with it, but I'm trading
You're
Hmm.
it
setting up
for one
new
car.
objectives. And
Yep.
that's what Rich Dad Poor Dad also taught us. You
Yeah.
don't necessarily want to, oh, I'm going to get something else on the income that I already have. I
Yeah.
want that. I'm going to get that. So I'm going to create a new income stream for that because my current income stream is already tied up with the things that I already have. And unless I get rid of something, I'm not going to be able to acquire something new. And
I
so
just
Rich Dad
focus
Poor
on
Dad,
the object itself. I don't worry about the money that goes in between. I just focus on the thing I want, and eventually I get it.
Right. Keep it simple.
Right.
yeah,
Don't worry about the middleman. Don't worry about money. If money is the root that you will get this, then the money will come. Just focus on the object.
well,
Focus
I'm
on
focusing on my book, but that's still not coming out. I actually got to type the words down on the fucking screen. So, so yeah, I've been focusing a lot on my book. I want to get that motherfucker finished.
yeah, I focus on the items I need in my life and they come along. It just I don't know how to explain it. It just happens. Sometimes it happens within a week, sometimes it takes months. But it happens because I stay focused on them.
Yeah. Well, it's
But I don't
You,
worry
you,
about
you
the
you
income and I
maintain
don't
that
worry about
focus
the
and you
money.
increase the probability.
Right.
You
But I
increase the
don't worry
focus.
about the money. You
But
don't
it's
worry about
also
the money to get it. You just worry about it.
right. It's also the word uses. If you say I want something, you stay in the state of wanting.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything
Yeah.
we do that negates what we want. But it's really ultimately when you worry, when
Yeah.
you fear, you let it go and just know that
Jesus,
you have to be.
Jesus tells us to not be worried, to not worry about any of these things.
trust.
Well, thoughts are things. You worry about something, then you create a negative energy that follows into that reality.
Well, I look at it like this: if if I need something, I have to just trust in God that He's going
Yes.
to provide it for me. But
Yes.
I also, at the same time, you have to take action. You have to put things in motion. You can't
Mm-hmm.
just be in your head and then once it's in your head and it goes out
Right.
your head, then nothing happens.
Right. You take the
You
steps
actually
as
have
they
to
present.
put things in motion. Once you put things into motion, the universe and God will bring it back to you.
But putting in motion inspired, not motivated. Because
Right.
that's what teachers do to the kids. They motivate them, and kids don't want to be motivated. They want to be inspired. And those are the key words, too. If you're inspired to do something, then you're going to go forward on your own accord. You're
Right.
motivated. That's what military does. Get up now, 3 o'clock in the fucking morning.
Yeah.
You have no choice with the military. I mean, when that bugle sounds, you're jumping the fuck out of bed. Otherwise, you're getting what is it? Those soap bars and socks beating because you were the only one not up in line. They'll make sure that you do what you need to do. That's what the military does. It's called discipline.
I just know that where I'm at today, I could not have fathomed. I have things I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I have a life that I probably not shouldn't have had, not deserved, none of that. But if you would have asked me this 40 years ago, man,
You couldn't see it, right?
I used to take steps. I
Yeah.
wanted to make 350 a week, and then I made it certain of that, and I got to that. Then I upped it, and I kept going. I didn't take any course of action. I just decided what I wanted. I just happened to walk in the direction that my desires was directing me to. Just happened to fall in line because I knew I was going to get my goal. Because I always make a powerful statement within me that I always get what I want. I'm always getting everything that I always do. I have a drive. Everyone always knows me about that. My wife gets pissed at me. As soon as I say I'm going to do something, she knows that nothing in high hell water is going to stop me. I get it. It happens.
That's having focus, and that's having intent, and that's having intention, and that's building up the probability for making your potentiality more real. I learned that from my father because he had a goal and he would latch on to that like a fucking pit bull, and he wouldn't let go of it. And he would go and he would do what he had to do to make it real. And so that was my childhood. That's what I grew up in. That's what I learned that reality was.
And
Then I
my
got a lot
ex-husband's
more
like that.
relaxed.
He's a go-getter.
Yeah,
So
my
one
dad
thing,
was born the year of the dragon, so my dad is the dragon, and that was extremely intimidating for me because I've never been able to do what he did. He is an excellent. He could sell a refrigerator to an Eskimo. I freaking swear. I can't sell a hungry man a hot dog. Okay, that's just the word different personalities. I can't do what he did, and it's frustrating. But I do many other things that he can't do that he recognizes nowadays. I still don't know what the fuck they are, but hey, I'm here. Let's do our
Well,
thing.
well, one thing I learned is, when I go to do something, I, put, premeditated thought, effort, and then, put my sock shoes on and I go take care of it. But I've also noticed that, and there are times in your life where you need something, say like a home or a house, and you go house shopping and you try to force a decision, you try to make something happen. And God and the universe has tendencies of telling you to shut up, sit down, and be patient. The time will come, the opportunity will arise, and you will receive what I give you. And all you have to do is go through the motions. So I have learned that on many occasions in my life that sometimes trying to force an issue is not always the best situation. As long as you
That's your perspective, and sometimes trying to impose your will onto the universe. And that's like
right,
telling God, this is what I want. And the thing that I had certain visions of what I wanted for my dream home, basic things that I'd, Gone with the Wind and those, big movie sets and everything else, those visions of that you have as a kid. Well, the thing is that when this place came together, I was able to do some of those things on a smaller scale. But all the things that I dreamed about having in a home long term, I've had. And I have been here for half my life. I'm going to be 50 years old, but I've spent
oh my God,
25
you're old.
years. So I've spent 25 years in Brazil. So I've spent half my fucking life in this country that I don't recognize and doesn't recognize me because I continue to be an American from Texas or Oklahoma or whatever the fuck. And it's really bizarre to me to where I don't have an accent. I haven't lost my English or anything else, and I've been here for 25 fucking years. Um, and how that's possible, it's only because of this place. Because everything that I have here is exactly the things that I wanted to be able to have: stability, the consistency, the family, the quality, the safety, the security, the food, and things that I wanted as basic tenets for the life that I wanted to create for myself. So even though a lot of the external realities have nothing to do, because I never imagined living in Brazil at any time in my life that I even envisioned. Portuguese is going to be my sixth language after Italian, to tell you the importance of it. And today I speak Portuguese better than I do Spanish. So there are things that happen in your life that are just extremely bizarre and you can't explain them, but at the same time are absolutely grandiose, and you can only thank God for the opportunity to be where you are, because it was the best version of me that I could be within that reality. I'm still trying to create better versions of me because I'm not dead yet, and I've got another 25 years at least, hopefully, maybe, before me. So hopefully, with the book and the next steps and everything else, I'll be able to create the next 25 years. But that's all hokum, and I don't know what's real until it becomes real. And the potentiality into probability, yeah, it's putting effort and things into it. It's what I'm doing. It's part of what this channel was about. Is about putting in the energy and effort to making people's lives better and implementing the book. Because in reality, even though the book isn't written, I'm still implementing the book through my interactions with other people and the conversations that we have now, and the things that I'm able to talk to you guys about are things that I'm integrating and have integrated over the last 10 years in my learning and studying for the culmination of this uh, opus that I'm trying to put as the crowning little jewel of the cherry on top of the cake at the end of my life. Basically, I've planted a tree, I've built a house, I've created a family. All those 4 out of 5 things that you're supposed to do in order to have an existential reality beyond your own death. The only thing
The
that I'm
things
left
we're programmed to do.
Yeah, and so the only thing that I'm lacking is finishing my book, and after that, I'm done. I've created my own force. I've created life, and I've created stability for
Oh,
others.
I'm already done. I've gotten to that point where it's like
I don't know.
I'm not there yet. I'm not taking
You
care
live,
of my
you
grandkids
live to
like that.
expand.
Sorry.
We're
No,
always
you get to an
expanding.
age where the things that used to bother you and the things that used to be important are no longer hold the same level of importance as they used to, and you start seeing priorities in other things that you didn't see before. I'm going to be 66 next month, so I'm looking at things now versus what I looked at them just a short while ago, and my priorities have changed drastically.
Well,
But,
just stay
but
65 a year longer.
right, but we didn't
Don't
come here to get it done. Though.
Right.
We didn't come here to get it done.
No,
You're
but we're here
always
for a
gonna have
reason. We're here
something
to
to
witness.
expand. Yeah, we're always here to expand.
Yeah.
And when,
But we're actually here to glorify Him in the greatness that He created around us and for us.
We do
And
that
so
by witnessing.
our focus here is to be grateful
Yeah.
every day for the reality that we live in because it is the greatest reality that we could have for ourselves. Why?
Hmm.
Because it is a gift that has already been given to us. We are alive.
We're
Something.
lucky. There are people out there whose lives are miserable. So when I hear somebody complain and I look at how they're living compared to kids in Haiti, it
Oh
just
my
blows
God.
my mind. It's like stop and think. It
but you
doesn't
can
matter how bad it gets for us, it's worse for somebody else.
but you can always hear in people's
be
dialogue
happy about
why they get what they get. You can
Hmm.
tell by the things they say, how they think.
Right.
Always tell what they're hanging up on. Those thoughts they start thinking themselves because they let it run rampant.
Yeah.
Because really, we sit here in our brain knocking ourselves down or whatever we do, and that chatter just keeps going and going and going. And until you get control of that and recognize, hey, that's not my chatter. That's not
Hmm.
going. I mean, every
Banish it.
That's not helpful to me. That's destructive to me. That's
right,
trying to diminish me.
even
And so
worrying,
you push those thoughts out of your mind and go, no, that potentiality I'm not even going to create.
right?
I'm
Because
going
Well,
to
no, you have
focus
to
on.
identify what are your thoughts and what are not your thoughts and what's being generated from outside. And once you identify that, you tell it to get the hell out.
And it's
Well,
a lot harder nowadays. Go ahead,
I
Carl.
like
Sorry.
to, well, just, I like to reflect on my adopted African family. Um, I adopted this uh, young African family in West Africa, and I paid for them to go to school and get their education. They're, I don't know, 16, 17, and I sent them to the fourth and fifth grade. And, I make sure they got food and medical supplies and stuff like that. And these are some of the absolute happiest people on the planet. Their entire village is happy. They have nothing. They literally have a tarp as a roof with three walls and a mud floor. And every day they are happy with food, without food, with clothing, without clothing. They're happy. Um, and then you reflect on, the people in America that, you know, don't make $90,000 a year, that don't make, $200,000 a year, that aren't living the doctor's lifestyle, um, and they're miserable.
Fuck, I'd be happy with $500 a month, man. Holy shit.
you know, so it's not about what you have; it's about what you are. If the happier you are with who you are and what you are, and eventually you'll learn your purpose, the more the universe will provide for you. But you first have to love yourself.
Yeah.
And those people that have nothing, all they know is their self, because that's all they have.
And those around them in the community. What actually makes those
Right.
people happy is the community and the family and the ones that help them and build them up. And that's all they have. They don't have the worries about, oh, the Ukraine and Taiwan and Canada and
but
they
Facebook.
have
people
none
that
of that.
practice and lack consciousness, and they can be good people from your eye view, but sometimes they're so practiced because they live their lives with lack and accepting lack, they develop lack consciousness. So they even program themselves. Well, I have a guy at work. I'll never be a millionaire. I'll never this. And I watch how he builds and how I
Of
work.
course not. Not with that talk.
Yeah, I sit and making all kinds of money there, and he's sitting there just, it is because what he's doing. And I'm like, well, you got lack consciousness. Get off of that shit. You know, it's your thinking.
Yep.
It drives me nuts. That's why I'm saying you can see in talking to people where their conscience is at and their ability to attract by the words they say and the things they do. You can just see it. Everyone's an open book a lot of times.
Thoughts are things. He's manifesting that for himself.
Right. So, but we can all still expand more and more. And
Mhm.
that's part of what we've been talking about ultimately going into this newer dimension because things are going to come faster.
Yeah.
Boom. You know, I want boom. You know,
Yeah.
it's just how it's going to be. We're going to have to learn how to navigate through that experience too because it's going to be a whole different world. For
Yep.
what
Well,
people,
one of the things that we are here to learn
Say hi.
is that today we think things and they don't really happen, and we say things and they might happen, and we put actions behind them, and we end up doing things that we shouldn't necessarily do because we have the free will to do the stupid shit that we do.
Yeah,
in this
but
world.
there's that voice in the back of your head that tells you this is not good for you.
Yeah, but that's the part telling you look, listen, and learn. And whenever we learn from those bad fucking actions, it teaches us to control the fucking thoughts that originated those actions. Why? Because when we get past this third dimensional reality that is limited to what we can actually do, and we evolve into that reality to where thought becomes real, we
Mm-hmm.
realize that we must have much more control over the thoughts so that those thoughts do not become instantly real, and those consequences, those negative fucking consequences that came out of all of your actions to make that
Right.
thought
We have to
into
be
reality,
we have to
we
be
have to
on
be
guard for
responsible.
those. We
We have to
have
be
to be on guard
responsible.
for those. And in the
Us being
beginning, it's very difficult.
in this reality is teaching us to control the thoughts so that later on when thoughts become reality automatically we do not have the negative thoughts that create the negative consequences that we are learning through the actions of this three-dimensional reality that we're in.
Well, once we're no longer in this corporeal form, it's more reality's more like dreams we experience.
Mm-hmm.
If you want it and you intend to have it like a hot steaming cup of coffee, you manifest it in your hand and then you drink the hot steaming cup of coffee. And it's like, wow, that was the best cup of coffee I've ever had.
But
And you
if you
said it,
want a hot steaming mug of fucking dog shit, you're gonna get a fucking hot steaming mug of fucking dog shit, and you're gonna say this
hey,
doesn't
hey,
taste like
hey,
I wanted it to.
don't discriminate. Don't
Thoughts
discriminate.
thoughts aren't just things. They also manifest through your personality and through the vibes that you put out when you interact with people. You can be the nicest person in the world to people at work, but if you harbor ill thoughts, they're going to pick up on that one way or the other. You're going to radiate that one
And
way
even
or
if others
another.
don't pick up on it, your own body picks up on
They
it.
will
I,
pick up on it.
I,
Everybody
but
picks
I
up on
have
it, whether
I
they
have
recognize
a
it or not.
sister-in-law who ended up dying of cancer, and I tell you, she externally she could seem like the nicest person. She was a salesman, she a sales lady. She used to sell clothing in a men's store and everything else. She was excellent at that. But when you saw her internally and close and free from all her barriers, you saw how much malice she actually had towards other people.
Yeah,
And she
it's all
hid
an act.
internally, and it ate away at her, and she ended up
Hmm.
dying of liver cancer. It was a 3.5 year battle that ended up last November.
And isn't
Uh,
that funny? Because liver is the organ that gets sick when from anger.
yeah, my grandmother used to
Yeah,
tell me, "Don't get angry because it'll fuck up your liver."
yeah.
And
Well,
that's exactly where she got her cancer from. Now, the
hmm
bizarrest thing now is that supposedly there's going to be a new cure for cancer. That of medicine in general is going to disappear, and we are at 0 viewers. Woohoo!
no,
That's
artist
We
61
we
is
got
because
here.
one
artists.
back. We got one back. Okay, so we got one viewer.
No, I
Uh,
popped out because mine was messed up.
okay. So
I
you
lost
were our one viewer. You are watching us, Mud Rabbit. We're doing this show for you, baby.
Well,
artist
artist
61 is
61
here.
is still in the chat. Say hi.
I
Hi,
saw
artist
I
61.
saw I saw her there, but at the same time, I'm seeing the viewers on the live viewers on the StreamYard is telling me 1. So I don't know what to make of that. We've had 5, maybe 6 today, but still, we're building it up, and it's a great conversation. And I enjoy every Tuesday with y'all. It's always good stuff.
We are family.
Don't go there. I fucking hate that song.
But I was going to add too, you know, when
Dark Brain is here. We'll
Oh
bring him.
shit!
Dark Brain, you
Yay,
gotta
What?
Dark
get your ass
Brain!
on.
so when
And
when
Artist 61 is here. So we got 2 people watching, and I only see now. I see 2
Wee, hit that
actually
like
show up on
button.
the. Yeah, hit the like button definitely.
Mike,
We
you
got
need to
8
send
likes so far.
you need to send Artist 61 and Dark Brain a link so they can join us with this conversation, and we can
Well,
all be.
absolutely. Well, hold on a second.
Oh, I like the frog.
Well, there we are. They can. The viewer count is a liar. Thank you very much, Dark Brain. And there's a link. So hop on. Let's have 0 viewers and 6 people in the conversation, and it'll be fucking fantastic. Um,
but what I was gonna add on our conversation that we were having is my son just got through coming out of court, and he had just a horrible situation. I won't go into his details, but he was sitting beating up himself, and I'm trying to get him to recognize, you know, how to look at these opportunities in his life. The way we beat ourselves up on what we attract, and we make out like we can't get through it. And
Hmm.
the matter is, if we lighten up on our ability to manage and get through what we're going to get through these harder times, just go and just go through it, let it go, and you'll work through this stuff if you just don't try and overthink it, overbeat yourself up. Just let it go, just breathe and just go through it and deal, you know. And
Sometimes you don't have a choice. You just got to buckle down and trudge through it.
right, because I mean, I have projects in my home that I start off with fear. Like my furnace broke down just before the cold was about to hit, and this is 1992, and I'm like, I'm a fixer, man. I can do this. Didn't know anything about it, and it just started coming together. I'm starting putting things together, how things work.
Hmm.
Before you know it, I got the parts, got it going. Heat came on, and it came below zero.
Yep,
Just
it's amazing what you can accomplish when you put your mind to it.
right, and everybody in my wife's family was getting on me. That's dangerous, this and that. And the wife was like, "But he can do it. If he says he can do it, he can do it. Leave him alone."
Yeah, my ex-husband's the same way.
Yep.
He can do almost anything, fix almost anything, and he's had no formal training and all that. He's just a logical thinker.
he just figures it out.
One of life's lessons that most people don't realize is that everybody goes through hard times. These are soul challenges.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even today, stuff happens. I'm out there working on my truck, and my neighbor's been helping me out, taking me back and forth to get parts and tools so I can finish my truck. And another neighbor decides to walk on by. Well, I just happened to have my front door open, and my puppies were outside, with their heads out the door, looking out, watching me, so they wouldn't cry because I wasn't right there. Well, when these strangers approached, my dogs ran out there. Now, Pop Silver over here, the larger one, he's a little on the skittish side. He's scared of everything and everybody, and he went and sniffed one of the wife's leg, and she put her hand down and touched his forehead, and he was okay with that. But then he backed away from her, and she flushed her hand at him really fast, and he didn't like that at all. And he hit her in the wrist with the side of his tooth, scared her, and she overreacted. And it's like, oh, good Lord, these guys aren't, aggressive biters, and they don't, they're just good babies. They're good kids. And if you scare them, they're going to try to defend themselves, and some people, you don't know dogs, you don't know dogs. But anyway, her reaction was so over, oh my God, oh my God. Oh, I'm like, well, show us what happened. Oh, I think he broke the skin. I'm going to need a tetanus shot. I'm like, I brushed his teeth this morning. He's fine. You're fine. You're going to be okay, dear. Oh, no, you're going to have to take me to the doctor. I'm like, you need to control your wife because she's overreacting. Just, oh my God. So now I have to deal with this. But,
Well, she took it upon herself to touch your dog. That was her choice. She left the dog.
she came onto my property. The
Right.
dog defended the property. She reached down and touched the dog intentionally. Dog, wasn't really paying attention to her. He was smelling her. And then he looks up and here's a hand coming at his face really quick. And he's like, fuck no, don't touch me, And anyway, but things happen, and it's how you handle yourself in the situation. And, it depends on the repercussions you're going to face. If you make a decision, there's always repercussions. I didn't have to have the front door open, but it was just me, my wife, and my neighbor who the dogs are very familiar with. So no big deal.
But I was just making the point too that when situations happen to you, you're attracting these things, and they're actually opportunities of lessons, or
Yes.
they're and that's what I was trying to get my son to understand. If you can slow down and not panic and to get depressed and worry, no one's after you. You had the power to create it. You have the power to fix it.
Yeah,
It's
chinks in the armor.
creation. Yeah. And use all the tools.
Yeah. Dark Brain, just click on the link. Join us for chat. YouTube Artist 61. You don't have to come in with video, but just come in with voice, like Miss Mud Rabbit, and enjoy a few minutes of the live stream and say hi.
Yeah, I'm in my pajamas. We'll have a pajama party.
Yay! Right. No, and the fact that Dark Brain, I've wanted to have him on my channel since the very fucking beginning. Dark Brain is awesome, folks. His comments on Aaron Moriarty's Truth Quest just blow my fucking mind from time to time. And so, yeah, I've been wanting to pick Dark Brain's brain for quite a fucking time. But he won't send me an email, and I can't send him the link, because I would send him a link along with you, Mud Rabbit, and you, Carl. I would send it through my Proton Mail. Now, Angel, I just send it through the Facebook, and I do yours, Carl, through the Facebook, and then I call you just to remind you, hey, oh, by the way, Mike was fucking trying to contact me. Oh, it's Tuesday. There must be something in there.
When you send the links out to Angel and Carl and I, send one to Dark Brain, and just do it that way. And one day he will join us.
But I don't have his email, and I don't have his Facebook account. Either way, I don't have that connection with Dark Brain. He needs to establish that by sending me an email, Dark Brain, and I'll send you an email.
It takes Dark Brain 2 weeks to write one email. 2 weeks. Sorry, he's a busy man.
They're going to shame you into it, Dark Brain.
I will shame you into it, Dark Brain. You got to come on my show. I've been wanting you on here. We're on episode 12, and I've been wanting you on since like episode 4 and shit. So that's 2 fucking months, Dark Brain. Get your ass on here, buddy. Because we don't have any fun, right, Todd? It's just a boring time that we have on here. Todd's
and then you miss the after party. The after parties are twice as good as the show.
Oh, God. See, last time at the end of the show, we started getting into 9/11 and the missiles and the holograms, and not holograms because nobody actually had pictures of it, and all kinds of funky shit. Imagine what we do on the after show. I need to actually do something like that for the subscribers. Get people to actually subscribe to the channel and get into the after show. But
after party.
Yeah, but with 4 people viewing, I don't think 2 would actually.
Oh, I didn't stick around long. I still had that head cold.
Yeah, you usually in the beginning, until you knew that we actually.
I didn't know in the beginning.
Show, you would pop off. I mean, the show would be off, and you and Todd would be boom. Less than 5 seconds, you'd already.
I started the after party. Mike didn't even know about the after party. I'm like, "Whoa, dude, where are you going? Man, break out the brews. It's after party." My puppies even know about it. They're all like,
"Oh yeah." See, I have a tendency of not cutting off the feed till everybody's done, and so it ends up being a private little chat room and everything else.
Guys, I'm gonna get you.
Oh, somebody's messing with
reading.
Carl's internet connection.
I
We're
just
drawing up on 2 hours. Do we have anything that we wanted to add to tonight's broadcast? Because that's more or less my cutoff point. Otherwise, it gets really fucking long, and people won't want to
No,
watch
I
it
think
later
we've
on.
pretty much covered what we wanted to cover.
Pretty much,
And then
and
some.
then some, and then some. Absolutely. Todd, you want
Nope.
to add
Great
anything
show.
else on today? We're good. The Corey Good thing that you put on Facebook, that was good. I'm going to try and memorize that and bring
All
that
right.
on for
So
next week as well. Carl, go
if you
ahead.
hold on, so last topic, you had to bring up Corey Good. So I thought it was absolutely hilarious that Corey Good came out and said that the the Dark Fleet shot down and destroyed all of Elon Musk's satellites.
Well, it was 40 out of 43, and that's the probability. Some people are thinking about
49.
a coronal storm objective
Well,
and that sort of
I
thing.
mean, I didn't hear any of the statistics on it. I was just watching his most recent,
But
video.
that could be
no, it
that's
was,
probable.
it was an alliance operation. It was an alliance operation.
The
Yeah.
Alliance took down Musk's Starlink.
Yeah,
That
it,
was a distraction. I still maintain that was a big distraction to
yeah.
get people to focus on that and not on something else. Truth Social still went up. It went up today and with a beta version. And there
Right.
seems to be certain people already invited in, but I haven't found any links for it yet.
Yeah,
Truth
it's
Social is going to
Trump
be a whole
just
nother level too.
right. Trump. Well, I don't know if it was Trump, but somebody just tweeted that the beta version is up. Hold on, let me just click on
Yep.
this real quick.
I think it came from Liz Wheeler originally.
I haven't even gotten onto
Let's
Truth
see.
Social yet. Just too much
This is from
social media.
RT News breaking. This was Donald Trump's first post on Truth Social. Get ready, your favorite president will see you soon.
Yep.
And
Yay!
it had comments and 49 likes. And then it says at the bottom of it, the beta version of Truth Social appears to be live, and former President Trump already has an active account. Trump posted on Twitter last week that the platform will be fully operational by the end of March.
Yeah. Because I haven't
Excellent.
found a link.
Well, hopefully I'll get my book done by then, and life will be. I've got lots of stuff set up for 2022. Among them, building up this channel. Now, I haven't been pushing this out because I'm embarrassed of myself. Basically,
Sorry.
I'm ashamed of my own face, and I want to avoid those fingers because they appear all over the place. Last week, there were plenty of them, and I'm embarrassed of
Ignore it.
myself.
It'll
To
go
be honest.
away.
It's sweating
I
the small
understand that. And so you sent me in the private chat, Mud Rabbit, if I had shared this out and some of the things. I don't share my own channel out on my own Facebook.
You didn't send out notifications on YouTube
I,
because that's how
I
your
don't,
mods know you're on.
I don't, well, I sent out notifications on YouTube
Oh, okay.
because I put it on beforehand. And so it supposedly sends those out to whoever subscribed and has that notification bell on there. That's why I usually set up the live stream almost an hour, maybe at least half an hour before showtime to make sure that those automatic notifications get out there.
Good.
But I don't really do much to actually promote it because, to be honest with you, I'm embarrassed of myself.
Well, people will find us.
You just
Yeah,
want to organically develop.
Yeah.
Let it or,
eventually. And I will develop merch for this, and I've already got a Marfugal shout out that I can put up as an intro, and I'm still trying to build that up. And so hopefully these next couple of weeks I'll focus on making this whole thing a little bit more aesthetic and more pleasing. But
Doug Crane
anyway.
said he got the notification today.
So yeah,
Great.
I've had, and Ariel always shows up and so she gets the notifications as well. So whoever's got those dings and gets the
They'll get it.
notifications
Okay.
usually does whenever I put it up on StreamYard. Now to promote it more and do that sort of thing, I haven't, and I need to get into that more. Absolutely, and I appreciate all the help all of y'all have done. Mud Rabbit, you and Carl have promoted this show a lot more than I have, and I appreciate that. Absolutely. And like Leo always says, share this out, share this out, share this.
Yep. Share it out with your friends.
I am too embarrassed to do that, which, like I said, my dad sells refrigerators to Eskimos because he's shameless. He
That's
has
okay.
no
I'm not embarrassed. I'll tell
he
everybody,
has
share
no
it far and
embarrassment.
wide.
I, however, am extremely, and the comments and everything else that are going around the YouTube little universe of the reality that's around me have been embarrassing to say the least, and so I try and curtail my exposure. However, this channel's good. It's y'all have made it another reality, and I appreciate all of you. Mud Rabbit, you're my anchor. I started this because of you. Carl,
Aw, thank you.
you are definitely a strong pillar. You have brought so much to this. And Angel, Todd, you have brought a balance that allows this whole thing to flow together without it just flows. The conversation between the four of us ends up flowing in a natural way. We have the same sort of vision and things. We see things differently. Obviously, we are different people in different realities, but we have this certain resonance that melds and jives, and also melds and jives with Dark Brain. Uh,
And
Dark
on
Brain, get your ass on there. And Artist61, thanks you for coming over and you're a mod. So let's do your stuff. However, with four people watching, there are three now. I'm not sure mods have had much of trouble tonight, considering that the Mud Rabbit and Combat Carl are on the case as well in the chat.
That's okay. Once they get there, we'll have the mods.
So we're all taken care of and everything else. I got 70 subscribers and we had 54 watching the last episode, so
Yeah.
that was a good thing. So I appreciate all of y'all. Thank you very much. Have an excellent Tuesday. Any last words from everyone?
after
Nope.
party,
Everybody have a good night.
click the link for the after party.
Yeah.
We'll do that for subscribers later on, Carl. We'll figure out how to do that. All right. Peace out to everybody. Have a great week.
Bye bye.
Enjoy yourselves.
Good night, guys.